Hello everyone and welcome. This is my new Battle Reports channel. This is a 2000 point game of Lizardmen Renegades against some Orc and Goblins tribe. We are using the comp system by the guys from Squarebase, so a big shout out to them for the work that they've been doing. I'm going to flash up the army lists and you can pause and take a look at my list and my good friend Teddy's list. I'm on the Lizardmen, he is on the Orcs and Goblins, and then we'll get into deployment. Alright then, so let's just go through what's on the battlefield then. We've got Old Blood on Carnosaur here, and then a unit of Skink Skirmishers. This is the Stegodon, and then this Troglodon model is one of the Bastillodons, another unit of Skinks. This is the Skink Priest on a Stegodon, unit of Temple Guard with the Slan. This Troglodon model is a Bastillodon, and another unit of Skink Skirmishers here. Up at the top in the corner there on the left you can see the Skinks that are scouting. And then unit of Night Goblins here. There's the Giant, another unit of Night Goblins here. You can see there the Black Orc Warboss on the Wyvern. There's Teddy's baggage train. Mine is also down here. And then you've got the Mangler Squig there. The BSB is in that Night Goblin unit there. The Oddgit, the Night Goblin Oddgit is Oddnob, sorry, is that one there. And then unit of Black Orcs with an Orc Weird Knob, and then the unit of Wolf Riders and the Boar Chariot. That is deployment. Okay, so Teddy got first turn. You can see he has sent the, I don't think I mentioned this one in deployment, the Night Goblin Big Boss on the Squig after these scouting Skinks here, because obviously they threaten the baggage train later. And then other than that, it is a general move forwards. He is not moving forwards with this Night Goblin unit here because he wants the use of the low linear obstacle. That's Teddy's movement. Okay, this is the photograph from the end of Teddy's turn one, and he didn't actually achieve anything in turn one. He didn't get off any spells, and his army has very little shooting in it anyway. So that was the end of turn one. Okay, my movement then. So cautious advance, throwing the Skinks up in the middle, trying to get some poison off against the Mangler Squig and the Giants. Cautious along the back. Don't want to get too close to the Black Orcs just yet. Skink Skirmishers up here, getting them all within 12 inches of this guy. Going to try and do some poison shots on him. That's my movement. Okay, so my turn one then, really successful turn one. I got a Drain Magic off, and then a Walk Between Worlds and a Fury of Cain on the Temple God, which was overkill and unnecessary. On reflection, Shield of Safari against the Bastillodon over here, and then between the Beams of Chotek and the Burning Alignments from 1, 2, 3, 4, and these 3 units of Skinks, I was able to drop the Giant and the Mangler Squig, as well as take a wound from the Boar Chariot. And then these guys up in the top left corner managed to take a wound from the Night Goblin Warboss as well. Okay, Teddy's movement 2 here then. So his Wolf Riders have charged at the Skinks here. His Goblins charged at these Skinks but somehow failed to charge. He rolled a double 1. His Wyvern charged at this unit of Skinks here but also failed that charge. And his Night Goblin Warboss has made it into base contact with the Skink Scouts up there. That was the end of Teddy's movement 2. Okay, shot from the end of Teddy's turn 2 here then. So his Oddnob has got 2 wounds on my Old Blood with Vindictive Glare. He's also fireballed this unit of Skinks, causing them to panic, and they've run all the way down here. The Night Goblin Warboss has smashed the Skinks up in the top corner, and his Wolf Riders here have killed and caught my Skinks who failed their leadership test, even though the Slan was really close to them. Never mind. Okay, end of my movement 2 here then. Really cautious in this turn, no charges. Don't want to go and charge into this unit of skinks and then get counter-charged by Black Orcs and Boar Chariot. So no charges. Move the skinks up into this gap here and then turn them around to face the Wolf Riders here, and then just moving the units up a few inches in all cases to make sure they're in range with their spells and ranged attacks. End of my 2 here then. Bit of a mixed bag with this turn. I've done a lot of manoeuvring to get beams of Chotek and burning alignments all lined up, and then my Slan went and miscast and caused a drain magic, so they didn't get to do any of their spells. But my number one goal was to get rid of these Wolf Riders, which I managed to do because the skinks here caused them to panic from some javelin shots, and then they fled through both the Temple Guard and the Bastiladon, taking a bunch of dangerous terrains in the process and dying, so that was nice. Didn't manage to get to the Boar Chariot. Okay, so this is the end of Teddy's movement 3. You can see his Boar Chariot has charged at the Temple Guard here, and his Black Orc War Boss on Wyvern has got into combat with my Old Blood on Carnosaur. This is a really interesting fight because these are both super heavyweights. Other than that, the Night Goblin Big Boss on his Squig is just strafing down the board edge over here, and the Goblins and the Black Orcs have just moved up. Okay, end of Teddy's turn 3 here then. So the Chariot has run into the Temple Guard and taken a good slapping for it, and has fled through the Black Orcs, but the Temple Guard have not caught it. And then the super fight between the two ultra heavyweights over here ended in a draw. Okay, so if you've ever seen a proper battle before, you will know there's no such thing as one where a photograph is not forgotten at some point, and I did forget my movement 3 photograph, so I'll just talk you through what happened in the movement phase. Basically, the Temple Guard and the Stegodons charged the Black Orcs, who had been about here. But the Fanatics from this unit were released. Now, I had got myself Ethereal from one of the high magic spells. So the Fanatics, all 3 of them went through the Stegodon, and between the 3 of them they took it down, but then sort of drifted through this ghost unit here. And then the Temple Guard were able to engage the Black Orcs, and the Black Orcs weren't able to attack them back. Basically taking a note out of the Vampire playbook. And so they fell back in good order. That's what happened over there. The Skinks over here finished off the Chariot that had been fleeing back here, and then the Skinks had moved up here to receive a charge from the Goblins, allowing the Bastiladons to get some shooting. And between the 2 Bastiladons and the Skinks, I was able to cause 7 or 8 wounds. And then over here, the Stegodon flank charged the Black Orc boss, and then my Old Blood issued a duel, so he wasn't able to get some easier points on the Stegodon, and he broke from combat, and I managed to catch him. He was nowhere near his BSB, so that was the end. Okay, we're at the end of Teddy's movement 4 here then, so we're still locked in combat here because I followed up last time. His Goblins have charged the Skinks here because got to get rid of them. And then his Night Goblin War Boss has come after the Old Blood on Carnosaur because this guy's down to 1 wound following the combat last turn with the Black Orc War Boss and the Wyvern. That's the end of Teddy's movement 4. Okay, end of Teddy's turn 4 here. Then I should have mentioned that he had previously got Itchy Nuisance off on the Stegodon, reducing its toughness by 1. 2 Fanatics over here in the movement phase had also crashed into one another and died, so that was funny. But the big news from this turn is that his Orc Weird Knob over here did 3 wounds on the Stegodon from a Vindictive Glare. Then the Carnosaur, Old Blood Carnosaur, killed the War Boss, but it was close. It was a good try. He almost did it. And then over here, the Black Orcs fled, but I wasn't able to catch them. So that was... Okay, end of my movement 4 here then. So the Skinks were still in combat when the Goblins followed up, when I fell back in good order over here. I charged the Black Orcs with the Temple Guard, and they were fleeing and I caught them, so that's the end of them. And then ran the Skink Skirmishers here into the baggage train. Teddy released his Fanatics over here, which did some damage to the Stegodon, but I was able to get around on the side here, so I'm hoping to be able to engage this unit with both of these later. So that is the end of my movement 4. Okay, end of my turn 4 here. They're not a great amount to report, really. The goblins beat the skirmishers, the Skink Skirmishers, who annoyingly fled rather than just dying outright, which allowed the goblins to chase them down, closing the gap on the baggage train. And that is it for my turn 4. Okay, Teddy's movement 5 here then. So annoyingly, one of those Fanatics has just skimmed the corner here of the Stegodon and caused 1 more wound on it. So both of these models are now down to 1 wound. And his goblins here have moved into base contact with my baggage train. And that's it. Okay, we're at end of Teddy's turn 5 here. I did forget to mention in the movement phase this unit had turned, and so he was able to get a Vindictive Glare off on my Old Blood on Carnosaur and take his final wound. So he is gone. That's the end of him. End of my movement phase in turn 5. Then I have thrown caution to the wind and charged at this big unit with my 1 remaining Stegodon on 1 wound, just to see whether he can take them or not. I wouldn't do this in tournament, but for a friendly game, why not? Baggage train over here has been destroyed, and I've brought my 2 Bastillodons over here to basically laser beam this unit to death is the idea, and then charge later if I need to. So that's the end of my movement. So end of turn 5, mixed results. The Stegodon was not quite able to do it. They caused 1 wound right at the end on him. So the Stegodon is dropped here, but I did manage to zap off enough goblins here to cause a panic test, which would see them flee through what I believe is now impassable terrain. So I believe you die when you go through impassable terrain. But even if not, the movement would have been enough for them to have run off the board edge. So that was... Okay, Teddy's movement 6 here then. He's just got the 1 unit left. He has basically turned them around. He's going to try and do some ranged damage against my Temple Guard. End of Teddy's turn 6 here then, and he has managed to fireball a couple of skinks, and that's your lot. That is the end of Teddy's turn 6. Okay, photograph from the end of my turn here. It wasn't worth taking 2, 1 for movement and 1 for the end of the turn. Just the Skink Skirmishers had moved up and tried to cause a panic check on a fluke, but they only did 1 wound. That was always unlikely. Everything else is too far away to do anything. So that is the end of the game. So I did 1,823. Now we're using the comp system, so we multiply that by 0.91. So I got 1,658 plus the baggage train for 250, so that's 1,908. Teddy has done 1,165 times 0.83 for the comp system, so that's 967. So a difference of about 900 points or so is a resounding victory to the Lizardmen. So a victory, but a costly one. Guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this battle report. I'm going to be trying to do reports for most of my games. If you have any comments on the format, if you notice anything that we did wrong, do please say so. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you all next time.